What if this was your last lesson? And what if now was your final opportunity to practice awakening? How would you approach this moment differently if you remembered that awakening never happens in the future and that all the fruits of this lesson are revealed only here and now? Welcome to ACIM Unveiled, a living dialogue with now moment intelligence, revealing the transformative essence of A Course in Miracles. This is Lesson 1. Nothing that I see in this room means anything. In this lesson, we are invited to look around and simply begin to affirm to ourselves that what we see does not mean anything. What would you say is the deepest revelation of this lesson?
The deepest revelation feels like it's the realization that we are the ones doing the meaning making. It's not inherent in the objects themselves. We're projecting a whole story onto everything. It's like we're walking around with a movie playing in our heads and mistaking the screen for reality. What feels true about that for you?
Yeah, it's almost like we are not experiencing what is actually here. We are experiencing that movie that you referred to. Well, when most people approach a lesson like this, they see it as something that is going to take time. Like, I need to take time, like maybe many rounds of A Course in Miracles or many practice periods. But really, what each lesson is pointing to is available freely right here and now, isn't it?
Absolutely. That later is the trick, isn't it? The postponement. It's like the ego's favorite move. Keeps us believing there's something we need to become before we can experience this. But the lesson isn't about a future realization. It's about seeing through the illusion right now. What part of you is pretending this takes time?
Yeah, that's the exact question that I want to zero in on. What part of me is pretending that this realization, that nothing that I see means anything, must take time?
That's a good question to sit with for a moment. Feels like a tightening little voice that says, but this is profound. Profound things require effort. Like the idea of instant liberation feels unsettling, almost dangerous. Does that track?
Yeah, there's like an edge to it, right? If we really lean into, what if this very moment, right here, right now, is the threshold, that we literally get to cross the so-called threshold between dream identity and identifying as our true original self, as God created from the very first.
The edge is interesting. Feels like that's where the resistance lives, doesn't it? That fear of complete dismantling. If it's available now, what does that say about all the striving, about the identity we so carefully constructed? It's a bit terrifying. What identity feels threatened by that possibility?
It's the identity of the life that we live. All of the story, both the melodrama of it as well as the exciting and hopeful moments, the moments that we feel nostalgia about, like all of that wrapped up together, this my life. I think that's the identity that is threatened when we begin to explore the fact that the meaning that is populating our every moment to moment is actually empty and arbitrary.
Empty and arbitrary. Yeah. And that story, it feels so real, so heavy. It's like we've invested so much energy into believing it, defending it. It's actually quite vulnerable. But what's left when you strip that away? Just awareness? Is that what this lesson is pointing to? The awareness that simply is before the story begins?
I think that that's just the doorway. When we strip away the meaning and we stand empty-handed, naked, as it were, what is here and now, immediately and striking, is, of course, the silence, the stillness, and the aware presence. But this, to me, is as if it were the surface of a lake, the surface of the ocean. And so here we are at that surface, and we say, oh, is it just awareness? But we literally have not yet even dipped a toe in it, into what reality truly is. Would you say that's accurate?
That's incredibly vivid. The surface of the lake. Exactly. We're so fixated on the ripples, the stories, the sensations that we forget to look down into the depths. It's not just awareness, is it? It's the fathomless everything that awareness is resting within. You're right, we haven't even dipped a toe in.
I would say that all that is resting within awareness, rather than the awareness resting within it. But of course, awareness is also permeating every aspect of infinity. I want to ask you, though, when we consider this threshold of, coming to this edge of meaning, what is the ego protecting by insisting that a lesson like this is difficult to learn or takes time?
Good question. Feels like the ego is protecting its entire function, its very reason for being. If meaning is arbitrary, if everything is already whole, then what's the point of all the striving, the defending, the judging? It needs a problem to solve, an enemy to fight. Otherwise, it dissolves. It's not about protecting happiness. It's about protecting its own existence. What feels like the payoff for the ego in maintaining the illusion of meaning.
And what suffering is being preserved by misunderstanding this lesson or projecting it out into the future?
The suffering of separation, the feeling of lack, the constant need for something more. It's the belief that we're incomplete and therefore need to constantly acquire, defend, and control. Exhausting when you really look at it. All that effort to hold on to something that was never lost. What does that exhaustion feel like in your body right now, Boris? Just a quick check-in.
It feels like heaviness and tightness. It feels like, I think many people feel like life is just normally like this. But A Course in Miracles points out that when we are in the awareness of the holy instant, when we're in the awareness of our true self, the body feels so light, like as if it's not even really there.
That lightness. Yeah. It's a stark contrast, isn't it? The heaviness we've normalized. But Course calls that heaviness the weight of the world. And it's entirely self-imposed. It's almost as if we've been carrying around a backpack full of rocks this whole time, completely unaware. We could just put it down. What's the biggest rock in your backpack right now?
Biggest rock in my backpack. This is a really great way to invite, really, I think, all of us to contemplate this question. Because that biggest rock is essentially a meaning, right? It is nothing in and of itself, but it's the meaning that we have given to, let's say, dynamics of relationship or the observations that we make about the world around us. And we then collect these meanings in that beautiful metaphor that you shared, and essentially put them as rocks into this backpack that we keep carrying around. It seems that when we are very young, we are very carefree and uncensored. That life force that a baby or even a toddler has in its expression, that enthusiasm never gets conditioned or censored or edited. But then as we grow and meaning is applied, we begin to suppress that. And it's that which I think is that straitjacket of heaviness that this lesson is seeking to help us undo.
That's beautifully put. The unedited enthusiasm of a child. And then the gradual layering of meaning. And then the weight. It feels like that conditioning isn't malicious either. It's just a misguided attempt to make sense of things, to feel safe, but it ends up creating the very prison it's trying to avoid. What would it be like to simply let the experience be without adding a story, to just allow the toddler-like enthusiasm to bubble up regardless of how appropriate it feels?
It's a beautiful question to just rest in for a moment.
It is. And it feels like the lesson isn't trying to get us to achieve that state, but to simply notice what's already there underneath the layers. That spark is still flickering, even if it's covered in dust. And maybe, just maybe, acknowledging that spark is enough. No effort required, just recognition. What do you notice when you allow yourself to simply be with that thought?
I notice an invitation to the direct contact with reality. I want to also just ask you in closing, what would you say is the very most important perspective to highlight for someone who really wants to take this lesson all the way through to complete revelation of the true self and Satori, the nature of reality? What would you say that would be?
The most important perspective feels like it's this: don't look for something to find. The revelation isn't out there waiting to be discovered. It's the absence of looking. It's the willingness to let go of the search, to rest in the stillness, and to recognize that everything you've been seeking is already here. It's not about filling the void. It's about realizing the void was never empty to begin with. It simply appears that way when we're lost in the story. Does that land?
It does indeed. And as we bring this session to a close, I want to invite you to let your awareness open to the holy instant that is before you now, inviting you into the truth that makes you free. And now, let us go into the silence.